All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, double honors to apostles of great millstone, and salutations to your elect, which we hope to be. Now, it's your brother Hawaii from GMS Chicago. Got a quick little lesson, it's one of the major things that you need to do. You know what I'm saying? You know, you gotta examine yourself, man. You gotta constantly look upon yourself. If a brother sees something and he lets you know that you're doing this and stuff, take time to look at it, man. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's wrong or right, because hey, guess what? Maybe the Lord just wants you to start examining yourself a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? Maybe the Lord wants you to get to do it more often. You know what I'm saying? And the Heavenly Father's name is Yahweh, who the world ignorantly calls Jehovah God. And the Heavenly Son's name is Yahweh Shai, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ or Jesus Christos or Yeshua, Yeshua, or Yahweh. You know what I'm saying? And then this lesson is to the Israelites, which are the Negroes, Latinos, Native American Indians, and Puerto Ricans, and confusion of places whose bloodline go back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, who are Israelites, whose spirits bear witness that they are a child of the living power, man. You know what I'm saying? And pretty much I'm just gonna go into I'm start with First Timothy's chapter 4, verse I'm gonna start at verse 12. It said, "Let no man despise thy youth, but be thou an example of the believers." You know what I'm saying? Because when we do these lessons, you know what I'm saying? When we some people recognize us if you got a job, you know what I'm saying? Or if you spoke to somebody and they recognize you and stuff, hey, guess what? They look upon you to do right, man. You know what I'm saying? And we gotta be an example, man. You know what I'm saying? That's why we gotta constantly look upon ourselves, you know what I'm saying, so we can make sure we ain't doing the wrong thing. So just in case they see it, they won't be like, oh, that's okay, that's cool. So I should be able to do it too, because it could be wrong for them, man, And it says, and for yourself, it says in word, in conversation, in charity, in spirit, in faith, in purity. You know what I'm saying? So we got to hold on to these things, man. You know what I'm saying? But the only way to build these things and stuff is that you got to constantly check upon yourself to make sure you're doing these things. You know what I'm saying? Because if you're not checking, you could get to slipping, Verse 13, it says, "Till I come, give attendance to reading, to exhortation, to doctrine." You know what I'm saying? Constantly go over the scriptures, man. You know what I'm saying? Because while you're reading, you could read something and then you go across it. And then next thing you know, it's like, damn, I'll be doing that. You know what I'm saying? You never know, like, what can happen, man. You know what I'm saying? The Lord works in mysterious ways. You could read something and it'll cause you to be like, wow, man, I've been doing that. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't really pay attention to it, It says, verse 14, it says, "Neglect not the gift that is in thee, which was given thee by prophecy with the laying on the hands of the presbytery." Presbytery goes into the body of elders, man. They neglect not the gift that's in you, man. You know what I'm saying? Having this understanding, you know what I'm saying? What if it's the scriptures talk about in First Corinthians, the 12th chapter, about how there's different gifts, you know what I'm saying, that helps out upon the body and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Hey, if you ain't using that gift, you know what I'm saying, that means you're not really examining yourself as much as you think you are, man. You know what I'm saying? First and foremost, that would be doing to myself. You know what I'm saying? And that's why, it's good to look upon things that you don't do. You know what I'm saying? To take heed when you watch other videos or read and you know what I'm saying? Because we're nobody's above correction. So that means that you got to constantly look upon yourself. You got to be hard on correcting yourself first and foremost before trying to correct another person, man. Well, the scriptures talk about that in Matthew, the 7th chapter. It says, judge not lest thou be judged. Don't be trying to make a judgment on somebody and yet you doing it too. That's why examination is very important. So you can make sure you're not doing something that another person is, so you can't go over there and be judging them and you guilty as well. Verse 15, it says, meditate upon these things, give thyself wholly to them. Meditate, man. Get it, in milatio, it says, to care for, attend carefully, practice, to meditate, to devise, contrive, meditative pondering, and the practice of orators and rhetoricians, to take care of, that is, revolve in the mind, imagine, premeditate, constantly think about, man, think upon these things, man. Think about, it's like, what can I do better? Scripture says that we fall short, so what can you do better? Like, what more can you do? What things you're not doing, what things that would be helpful to the body, what will make you a better leader, think different things upon that. Your mind got to be sporadic on things that can help the body, man, or help anybody that's following you or looking up to you, to lead them in salvation, man. To lead them in the right way, read again. It's 1 Timothy 4:15. It says, meditate upon these things, give thyself wholly to them, that thy profiting may appear to all. Because we don't know who watch us. We don't know who believe in the scriptures, who recognize our voice or recognize our faces, and stuff. And it's like, oh, I'm going to follow, I'm going to see what he's doing. It can go from somebody who's knowledgeable in the scriptures, to somebody who's unlearned in the scriptures, man. You don't know who could be looking at you as an example on how to be, to have a better relationship with Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai, man. So we gotta be on our own asses. We gotta be on our own asses. It says, like when somebody, man, why you sweating me? Why you sweating me? You gotta be like that towards yourself. Verse 16, it says, take heed unto thyself, take heed, pay attention, man. It says, it says, and unto the doctrine, continue in them, for in doing this, thou shalt both save thyself and them that hear thee, but you got to constantly look upon yourself, because you don't want small little slips, that happen and stuff, man, Scripture goes into the fact about how you'll fall little by little, man, if you don't pay attention to the little things, man, because guess what? The little things can add up to a big picture, man, and what is the big picture? Salvation, being saved, man. If you're not examining yourself, on small little things, if you're not part of the elect, man, things gonna happen the way it's gonna happen. But, the thing is that you don't want to fuck up where you can't receive salvation. That when the Lord comes, this, that, and the other, or the head is not around you, this, that, and the other. You don't want that, man. You want to get saved, man. So everybody that pay attention to you, you got to pay attention to yourself, man. This 2 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 5. It says, examine yourselves, whether ye be in the faith. Prove your own selves. Know ye not your own selves? How that Yahweh Shai is in you. It said ye be reprobates. You know what I'm saying? You know your own self. Your weaknesses. You know what I'm saying? You know what you need to work on. You know what I'm saying? Prove your own self, man. That word prove, going to try, man. You know what I'm saying? To test. You know what you can do better in something and stuff, then prove it. Examine, think upon it. You know what I'm saying? Let it come to mind first. Think about what you can do better, man. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't want to be a reprobate, because a reprobate is somebody who's rejected. You know, somebody, usually the reprobates, you have guys called ITR, Israel tried and refried, you know what I'm saying? Tried and died and tried and failed, whatever. The thing is that those are guys that don't examine themselves, man. And they just waxing worse and worse, man. You know what I'm saying? You know, they're not enduring sound doctrine, man. You know, they falling away, you know. And that's why it's important to examine yourselves, because you don't want to be like them. You know what I'm saying? You know, scripture says that it's a fearful thing to fall in the hands of the living power, man. It is, man. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to end up, you know, thinking you doing the right thing and you going completely off, you know, doing unwise things, man. You know, doing things that's not beneficial for you and your followers, man. You know what I'm saying? It's like, this is this is Ecclesiasticus or Sirach in Apocrypha chapter 37 verse 27. It says, "My son, prove thy soul in thy life and see what is evil for it." You know what I'm saying? So it could be things that could take you off from meditating upon the things that you need to do, going towards salvation, man. You know what I'm saying? Of course, you in the flesh, there's going to be certain things that you want to do, but it goes back into having that balance, because if you're doing more things towards the flesh, you know what I'm saying, then guess what? You're not going to be examining yourself on things that needs to be done in the spirit, man. You know, it says, I'll read again. It says, "My son, prove thy soul in thy life and see what is evil for it, and give not that onto it," man. You know what I'm saying? And the only way to see what's evil for your life, man, you know what I'm saying, is examining, you know, looking upon the things like, is this, I shouldn't be doing this, or I shouldn't be doing that. Yeah, that's not going to help me out. You know what I'm saying? I need to do this. You know what I'm saying? You know, this can be a hindrance. This can be a stumbling block. This can be a blockage, man. You know what I'm saying? This can fuck me up for salvation, man. You know what I'm saying? That's the only way to be able to see stuff like that is by examination, man. You know, pretty much you got to be you got to be, you know, when you get in trouble by your parents and stuff, and they grab the belt and they hold it on both sides and make the crack sound. You know what I'm saying? You got to be like that to yourself. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes you got to hit yourself with the belt, man. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like you gotta be on your ass, man. You know, you got to be on yourself, man. You know what I'm saying? This is First Thessalonians chapter 5 verse 22. It says, "Abstain from all appearance of evil." You know what I'm saying? And how you know it was evil, man? By reading, studying. You know what I'm saying? You know, knowing the different examples, knowing yourself, constantly going over and pondering and meditating upon things that is not good for thy life. You know what I'm saying? You know, weighing in the balance. You know what I'm saying? Doing things according to the spirit and doing things according to the flesh. Not doing too much in the flesh, man. You know what I'm saying? You know, hey, that's abstaining from evil, man. You know what I'm saying? The word abstain is it says to hold oneself off, refrain, abstain, man. You know what I'm saying? So hold yourself off from things that's gonna have you slipping back in the world, man, or slipping into your flesh too much, or it's causing you not to examine certain things. Because guess what? If you're not going to examine certain things, you know what I'm saying, about yourself, it might be somebody else that you need to correct, and you ain't going to be able to see it, man. You know, because you can't see it within yourself. You know, it says, so like it said, this is Psalms chapter 26 verse 2. It says, "Examine me, O Yahweh, and prove me." You know what I'm saying? So this is King David, and he's asking the Lord to examine him, man. To get the word examine in Hebrew is bachan, it's the barachana. And remember, when you read Hebrew, you know what I'm saying, this is Syrian Hebrew and not the Paleo Hebrew. You know what I'm saying? The Paleo Hebrew, you'll seeing like on a lost lunar stone. You know what I'm saying? The Moabite stone, that's the real pure language that's being used. You know what I'm saying? But this right here is the Syrian Hebrew. You read right to left, not left to right. where it says original, those are the Hebrew characters in the Syrian form. And it says in the first character is ba, the next word is cha, and the second letter is na. So it's bachan, and it says to examine, try, prove, to examine, scrutinize, to test, prove, try, of gold, person, the heart, man of the Most High. You know what I'm saying? Because like when it come down to gold, the scriptures talk about in Sirach 2 and 5 that it says, for gold is tried in the fire and acceptable men in the furnace of adversity. You know what I'm saying? So we going through the spiritual fire and stuff, and part of the purification is examining yourself, man. You know what I'm saying? Because we hoping to be that gold and that silver, you know what I'm saying, vessels onto honor and not vessels onto destruction, like wood and stone, man. You know what I'm saying? That's who we hoping. We hoping to be part of the elect, man. You know what I'm saying? So you got to examine yourself, man. You got to be concrete on things that you shouldn't do and things that you can do. You know what I'm saying? And things that it's wise to do. So just in case somebody else is following you, that they could do the same things, man. You know? And King David was a man after the Lord's heart, man. You know what I'm saying? And guess what? He was asking the Lord to pretty much to help him out, like keep him on point, man. It says, try my reins in my heart. You know what I'm saying? Prove it, test it, man. You know what I'm saying? Scrutinize it, man. You know what I'm saying? So you could do better, man. This is James chapter 1, verse 5. Now you see when it came down to King David, what he was doing when he was asking the Lord, he was praying to him, He was praying to him. The word pray in the Hebrew is palal. It's the pa, the la, and the la again. Palal, you know what I'm saying? And it means to ask, you know what I'm saying? So one of the major key things and examining yourself is praying, because you might miss something that you need to ask the Lord to reveal to you, man. This is James chapter 1, verse 5, because you see that King David asked the Lord to examine him. It says, if any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of the Most High. And one of the things that could be a lack of wisdom is examine yourself. It says that give it to all men liberally and upbraideth not, and it shall be given him. So whatever you ask the Lord, he gonna give it to you. It said, verse 6, it says, but let him ask in faith, nothing wavering. So you can't be thinking it. You can't be like, oh, okay, I'm finna ask the Lord, can he do this and stuff? And be like, you know what? Maybe he ain't gonna do it. You wavering, man. You know what I'm saying? You can't be back and forth. You got to believe that he gonna do it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's either two ways. It's two ways if you wavering. You know what I'm saying? You're going to pick a side, man. You know what I'm saying? You're going to either believe that he's going to do it. You know what I'm saying? Or you're going to believe that he ain't going to do it. You know what I'm saying? And usually if you are wavering, if you wavering and stuff, you know what I'm saying? If you second guessing and stuff, you're going to lean on to that second guess, It says, for he that waver is like a wave of the sea, driven with the wind and tossed. You know what I'm saying? So you just going back and forth. You know what I'm saying? You're not staying on one direction. You're not concrete on what he'll do, you know what I'm saying, versus what he won't do. You know what I'm saying? You're not concrete on that. It says, it says, for let not that man think that he shall receive anything of the Lord. You know what I'm saying? Because when you're wavering, you know what I'm saying, you going to lean to the fact that he ain't going to do it for you. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, don't think that you're going to receive anything. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't believe he'll do it. So if you believe that he's going to give you examination and stuff, you know what I'm saying? Trust in him, man. And that's actually a wise thing, man. The scripture says in Sirach 18:27, a wise man will fear in all things. And it's a scary thing to not be fearful of not examining yourself, man. You know what I'm saying? You want to examine yourself daily, because guess what? It keeps you in tune with the scriptures. It keeps you in tune with seeing different spirits and being on point of certain things and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Being aware of certain situations and stuff. You know what I'm saying? And all this is it's edifying yourself, man. It's building yourself up, you know, and I hope this video was edifying, and I'd like to give all honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, double honors to apostles, a great millstone, and salutations to the elect, which we hope to be. Shalom and Abba.